Hello, this is Lee. I want to talk about something. Jimmy Calandra challenges Johnny Alite to an MMA fight. Basically, what happened is Johnny Alite and Jimmy Calandra have been arguing back and forth, talking about who's tougher in prison. And so Jimmy Calandra, to his credit, came out and said, "Hey, look, let's put an end to this. Let's meet in the ring. We can do an MMA fight." He says he doesn't want to do any boxing. He's basically challenging Johnny Alite. Now, I like to say this, Johnny. You are always saying how tough you are and that you're the baddest guy upon the planet. So you should easily accept this match with Jimmy Calandra, because you said that you punked him in jail, that you would have no trouble beating him. So what are you going to do? Johnny Alite continuously insults John Sr., John Jr., and Gene Gotti. Will he dare show his face in public? I mean, is he going to go where John Gotti Jr.'s friends know where he's at? Every time you listen to Johnny Alite, he seems to have something negative to say about the Gottis. His job was to work for John Gotti Jr. And so what did he do? He worked for him. He went to jail. He snitched. Then he's calling John Gotti Jr. a snitch. His job was to work for John Gotti Jr. And when things got rough, he snitched. And then he goes on talking about how, when he was in jail, he had Gene Gotti beat up on a continuous basis, that he would send people over just to throw him a beating. So why would Johnny Alite, who is saying that he's trying to turn his life around, continuously brag about throwing beatings to Gene Gotti? And then he comes out and he challenges John Gotti Jr. to a boxing match for charity. So Jimmy Calandra is calling you bluff on this one, Johnny. He's saying to you, you're saying how tough you are. Let's settle this once and for all. He said if he loses, he'll accept defeat and that you won. So what's it going to be? Are you going to accept his challenge? That's going to be the most interesting thing to see. You know what? One thing that I've learned over the years, growing up around in New York, being around gangsters and stuff, you know who really badass gangsters are. And then there's just those guys that aren't really gangsters, but say they are. And when the time gets tough, they run. So I got to give Jimmy Calandra credit. I did a video just recently on Jimmy Calandra and Johnny Alite and Sammy Gavano, because they were all fighting with each other. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. You have a bunch of mafioso rats fighting with each other. And that's what two of them are. Yeah. And then after watching them, ever since this whole thing happened, I would have to say Jimmy Calandra has handled himself better than Johnny Alite. Johnny Alite came on a show yesterday, and the guy talks so fast. Now, if you're a New York street guy and you like to hustle and stuff, you know the hustle talk. If you sound like you know what you're talking about and you talk real fast, you make it sound real. But see, a street hustler, we could sense the bullshit. And when I listen to Johnny Alite, I hear a lot of bullshit. I would love for him to fight Jimmy Calandra. I'd love to see how tough he is. Now, one of the issues I have more than anything with John Alite is that he says he's turning his life around. Okay, fine, great. We all make mistakes. We all need to turn our life around. There's no doubt, especially if we're street guys. We come from the streets and we grew up in the streets, and that's who we are. I made a lot of mistakes. There's no doubt. Clean my life up. So what are you going to do, John? You say that you sell baseball bats with your autograph on them. And the reason you're selling baseball bats with autographs on them is because you used to talk about how you beat people with baseball bats. So if you're still living in those glory days, do you think it's really cool to be selling baseball bats based on that's what you used to do, use as a form of weapon? Do you think it's really cool, Johnny Alite, to come out and talk about the people that you sent after Gene Gotti in jail and how you had used to have him beat around? You made him sound like such a punk the way you were talking about him. You know, back in the 90s, I met, I'm just going to say his last name. He was a DiGiorgio. I worked for him. And you know who the DiGiorgios are. John Gotti was married to a DiGiorgio. And when I met him, I was homeless. I had nothing. And I started working for him. And I walked up to him one day. I found an apartment. I said, I really, is there any way you can help me get my apartment? Now, he didn't know me from anything. He lent me the money. I moved to the apartment. I paid him the money back. And it was great. I worked for him for a while. I had to watch what I had to say. And every once in a while, he used to get mad, typical. But the DiGiorgios, Johnny Alite, were real gangsters, not Albanians. Don't get me wrong. Albanians are badasses. I know some really tough Albanians. But you're not acting like an Albanian. And when you were with John Gotti Jr., you literally pretend that you were Italian. And there's a lot of things that I'm finding out that I find quite incredible. And the fact that you keep attacking Gene Gotti is so disrespectful. It's easy to attack dead people because they can't defend themselves. Same with John Gotti Sr. It's the same thing that, Sammy the Bull Gravano does. Same thing. Sammy the Bull will tell a story and act like he was in charge and he was running stuff when he wasn't. Sammy Gravano will kill his partners. Anybody that had a business with him, he'd kill. That's the fact about Sammy Gravano. And here you are going after Jimmy Calandra. And there's no doubt Jimmy Calandra was a small level criminal. He even admits it. Jimmy Calandra was involved in an incident where a woman got shot and killed during a robbery. That means Jimmy Calandra was responsible. And the one issue I have with him is he does not admit that he's more responsible than he's saying that he is. If you knock on the door, and if a woman answers the door and you kill that woman, you don't kill that woman, but someone with you kills that woman. You're guilty. But to give Jimmy Calandra credit about something, if you watch him on his show and his YouTube station, and I watched you yesterday on the YouTube station that you were on, you were so aggressive the way you were insulting him. I mean, it was really bad. But it's like I said, the Gene Gotti stuff has to stop. And you guys, man, arguing and fighting with each other is fucking ridiculous. I mean, you guys are all rats. You're lucky to be out in the street for the things that you did. And so, Johnny, I like to see you prove to people that you have the balls to accept the challenge by Jimmy Calandra. He said that he will fight you. He has connections to someone that has to do with the Art of War, which is an MMA business that you can fight him through Art of War. You're always talking about donating money. Isn't this the perfect time? You donate some money, you fight him at Art of War. Personally, if I had a bet going into that fight, I think Johnny Alite would take Jimmy Calandra. But I think Jimmy Calandra wants to fight you just So to put an end to this thing. And then lately, I see people coming forward saying, Jimmy Calandra is a pervert and sending texts to wives and stuff. Do you have any evidence? Do you have any texts? Usually when people say sends texts, you can save them. So it's easy to say someone's doing something, but to prove it is a whole different story. So I would ask you, Johnny Alite, where's the actual proof that Jimmy Calandra sent these texts to these wives, sexually harassing them? I seen a guy sitting in a car saying that this happened. Then I seen some cracked out dude doing another video talking about Calandra. They really didn't represent this whole thing that well. So I'm just going to say to you, he's challenged you. Jimmy Calandra put the gauntlet down. He's saying he doesn't box you because he knows he can't beat you in boxing. Fair enough. But he said that he would fight you with MMA rules. To be honest, I think an MMA rule type of fight would be much more exciting. And it would be much more fun to watch. And it's like I said, he said he will fight you at Art of War. So you have the place to fight. And like I said, you could put together a fight where you guys can donate the money to charity. And we would see who won. But you know what, Johnny Alite? With all the things you said about Jimmy Calandra, you totally made Jimmy Calandra sound like he was nothing like a punk. So that means, Johnny Alite, you have to win the fight. Because if you lost, that would be so humiliating. In reality, Jimmy Calandra has nothing to lose because you claim to be this badass. But here's the thing. When you fight Jimmy Calandra, if you decide, which I don't think you're going to decide. I really think you don't have the balls. But here's what I think is going to happen. You can't bring a baseball bat with an autograph on it to fight him. And you can't wear sunglasses into the ring. So those are two things right there. That's your kryptonite. I mean, you can't have those two things to help you out. You got to button your shirt. You can't keep it open and walk around with your chest hanging out. So you have to go in there looking like a fighter. You know, and I was thinking, if you beat Jimmy Calandra in an MMA match, then instead of, being that you're as tough as you say you are, instead of challenging a guy like Jimmy Calandra, being that you're such a badass, why don't you challenge John Gotti III to an MMA fight? I mean, you're such a badass, you should be able to knock him out with one shot. I mean, you're talking about the man's family continuously. I'm a fan of Curtis Sliwa, and he used to do the same thing, and eventually something happened to him, remember? I don't know if it's a good thing that you keep doing what you're doing. This is a family thing now. You've just been talking about the Gottis like it's nothing. Total disrespect. And don't get me wrong, the Gottis are killers. They're not good people. The leaders of the gang, John Jr. But no matter what you say about John went to jail. Never snitched and died like a man. And then, okay, I understand what you're saying. A lot of people think John Jr. snitched. I don't know if he did. But the fact of the matter is, I do know you did. That's a fact. And Jimmy Calandra, same thing. Sammy Guevara, biggest snitch of all time. He has 19 bodies and he's walking around in the street. And then he went and started a huge drug ring in Arizona, and he's still in the street. This is a whole messed up thing. Personally, I don't think none of you guys should be on YouTube with your YouTube stations. But it doesn't matter. You are on YouTube. Well, Jimmy Calandra's doing okay, and the guy needs a break. So, okay, good. Good for him. People like his show. I personally think he makes better deliveries than you when listening to him on his show. I really enjoy him on the show. Larry Lapper says they won't fight maybe if money is involved, but he won't risk looking bad. Larry, you're absolutely right. I think I agree with you. I don't think that he will fight, and I just don't. Listen, what's worse than watching two 50-year-old men getting in a ring and fighting an MMA fight? You know, it might be exciting for the first 2 minutes, but can you imagine when they all get tired and they start falling all over each other? You know, that would be kind of pathetic. But I just want to see them fight. What the hell? But you know what? Here's where Jimmy Calandra was smart. He knows that Johnny Alite has to accept it. If Johnny Alite has any excuses and does not accept the fight with Calandra, he basically punked out. Basically, what that comes down to is Jimmy Calandra made him punk out. And if you hear Johnny Alite will always tell people how stupid Jimmy Calandra is. So who's really stupid, Johnny Alite, if you do not accept the fight? You should have no trouble accepting the fight because you're going to go in there and roll right over him like a badass. You're telling everybody how much of a badass you are. So do your thing, man. You know, you big bad Johnny Alite, writer of 3 books. You know, website, sold baseball bats with autographs. I mean, shit, you're a bad man. So what are you going to do? You're going to get mad? I made a video the other day and I got a bunch of insults because I was talking about you guys all making money off of being rats. I grew up in the street. I did time. And I never ratted on nobody. So that's the fact. So you guys can all talk you want. It's funny, all you gangsters and stuff. It all started with John Jr. See, John Jr. made the mistake of having a lot of non-Italians around, a lot of Albanians dealing cocaine and stuff. And whenever they got busted, they started snitching like little rats. And that's what happened. That's why the Russians and the Chinese run everything now. Because of what the Italians did with, John Gotti Jr., basically. That was his mistake. But you know what? He's living a good life now and stuff. I'm surprised that he continuously has to listen to you insult him. I mean, it's nonstop. It doesn't even matter whether you like him or not. I mean, the other day when I watched that video that you did, you were talking about how much you want to straighten your life out and with the kids and stuff. Then I see another video where you and your brother are sitting in the studio with your sunglasses on. Come on, your sunglasses? Are you that cool? Okay, well, I'm going to shut this down. I wanted to do 20-minute video on this. I didn't want to do any longer. I don't know what kind of response I'm going to get on this. But once again, Jimmy Calandra has challenged you, Johnny Alite. Now you're going to have to prove to everybody how tough you are. And, it's like you said in prison that you sent people to beat Gene Gotti up. Basically, you just told them go throw Gene Gotti a beating. So what are you going to do? Are you going to go fight Jimmy Calandra, or are you going to hire somebody to just go to the ring and fight him for you? Because the way you were talking about what was going on in jail, it sounded like you sent a lot of people to beat people up. Well, that's basically what you're saying. I think it's bullshit personally, but it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just an outsider. I'm not Italian, but you know what? I'm from the streets and I know street guys, and I could sense how a street guy is, whether they're full of shit. And I get the feeling that you're more full of shit than Jimmy Calandra. I might be wrong, and if I am, I apologize. But I have a feeling that you're not going to accept the fight, and Jimmy Calandra is going to punk you on this one. I might be wrong. It's going to be interesting to see. I appreciate whoever tuned in and watched this and whoever is going to watch it in the future. Just one of those videos that I wanted to do about this Mafia war thing. And I'm going to be keeping track of these guys and doing more videos on this Mafia war going on. And let me just tell you something about me real quick. I live in Texas. I'm not worried about you showing up on my doorstep, threatening me and whatever. This is Texas. Lots of cowboys, if you get my drift. But anyway, guys, you take care. And I'll see you in my next video. Please like my video if you like it. And please join my channel. I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe. I'm just trying to build up my channel right now and put out good, solid videos. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Everybody, take care.